Yeah.
You know, I had it backwards in high school. I thought that like if I was the singing guy in high school, whatever that, I'd get bullied and they laugh me out and they look at me like a sucker, you know what I mean?
Willie D Live.
What was it like going to High Point?
High Point High School. That was cool. I was your average kid. I left. There was a period where my dad stepped up and I had to go. I needed that. Go be with my dad. I was getting in trouble. I was living with my grandmother at the time, and I was getting in a lot of trouble. This teenage stuff that we do, at that time, and so I went to Jersey to live with my dad. Got in more trouble. Got in a lot of trouble up there. Had to come back. So we talking like ninth grade year. There was a period. There was actually a period where I dropped out of school for a moment, and had to go to summer school. And then from there, I always had a job. So I want to say like that summer, I came home back to live with my mom. This is like early 90s. And so I had a job. Like my first job was Giant Food. So that's equivalent to like, I don't know, what's your major chain out here as far as
HEB.
Yeah, so that's like equivalent to working like HEB.
Yeah.
I was the parcel pickup guy, then I graduated to work in the register and that type of thing. Yeah, but that was my first job, and that job kept me out of a lot of trouble. So anything that was going on in the neighborhood that I grew up in, I was just like, I always missed the action. Always missed the trouble because I always had a job. Like I always knew about working hard,
And what were you doing with your money?
Man, probably giving it to my mother.
Yeah.
Yeah, just little things here and there. I mean, back then I didn't value the job because of the fact that it was making me money. It was just the pride of like being able to just be able to say I had a job. Like it was like that was the most amazing thing for me. Like as a 14, 15, 16-year-old, 17-year-old to be like, I got a job. Or I gotta now I can't do that because I gotta go to work. You know what I mean? So it was kind of like school, work. I was an athlete. I was red-shirted in college due to SATs, but I was a distance runner. I was pretty good, at running, long distance marathons,
And this was at Copping. I know you went to High Point.
Yeah, I went to Copping for a few semesters.
Copping,
Yeah, I went to Copping for like 3 semesters.
Did you run track at Copping?
Nah, I was redshirted, so I never touched the track out there. You know? And I ended up only going for 3 semesters. I dropped out. I decided I was going to do music full time, and here we are.
Yeah, yeah. So at what point do you find music? Like I understand, your dad was a musician, but at what point did you get the buzz? Like I know you grew up on music.
My first
you started saying I can make a living.
My first day of college, I ran into some cats that were like. I always had the buzz though. I always knew I could do it, like secretly. Yeah. I had it backwards in high school. I thought that like if I was the singing guy in high school, whatever that, I'd get bullied and they laugh me out and they look at me like a sucker. You know what I mean? If I knew what I know now, Willie, I'd have been.
For real. I wish I could sing. I'd walk up on every chick I met.
I'd have been walking up.
They would have been like,
I've been walking up on them.
They've been calling me, man. That guy just sings and sings. And I just be walking up. Hey, baby. I don't know. I figure out something. I'm saying something to her every single time. Women love singers.
Yeah. And
they love a dude that can sing.
Yeah. So I was very, I wasn't secure yet with in that whole thing. And then I was very like, my dad tried to have me learn a lot of different instruments and stuff like that, but I'd just be like so hell bent on not wanting to do it. I didn't know that this would be what I would be doing. This is what I would, that I would love it that much, And I grew into it. First year, my first year at Coppin, though, is where I like fell in like head over heels for like creating music and You know, this is at like the height of like Jodeci and the success of like Babyface as a songwriter, and you know Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. Like I always read the credits to everything. You know what I mean? You know, and I told her this a couple of weeks ago. I had the opportunity to we share a mutual friend, and I had the opportunity to talk to her on FaceTime. But Faith Evans is like,
Oh, shouts out to Faith.
Faith
That's my
is
girl.
is like the Faith Evans and Chucky Thompson were like my, you know, and I went on later to meet Chucky and work
You
with
talking about
Chucky.
DC Chucky?
Yeah, Chucky. Yeah, he
that
passed
just
during
passed.
COVID. Yeah.
Shouts out to Chuck.
But you know that was the Bible for me, like of the musicality. You know what I mean? From like watching Chucky, you know, as one of the original hitmen through that whole Bad Boy era of music and the catalog. You know, the first Faith album, reading the credits, knowing like, okay, Faith is singing. Faith, she wrote this Mary J. Blige record, or she's singing on the backgrounds of this, or you know, going back and like, man, her voice sounds familiar. I wonder if this is her on some of this I'll Be Sure stuff too. And you know what I mean? Like I was just always like, you know, I was mad scientist with it, with like reading the credits and like, you know, understanding who these people are, you know. Of course, and then of course, like Prince, Roger Nelson, you know, like Prince, you know, Marvin Gaye, you know, but then like I'm like, well, who's L Ware, who's Leon Ware, you know, to like graduating musically to actually meeting him one day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like and spending a day with Leon Ware, you know, smoking a joint with Leon Ware, you know, who passed, you know. You know, Leon doesn't get that credit he always deserves. He was the sound. He was the writer and the producer of the Marvin Gaye "I Want You" album. You know what I mean? Like that, which shaped, and then that opened something up in Marvin creatively that he carried with him for the rest of his career. You know.